So I am doing my September end of the month wrap up. Now, I did not get a lot of books read, as I stated in my community tab. I really have been slowing down a lot of my reading and not doing a lot. So it makes it to where I'm kind of just getting maybe more novellas done, or like short books, like within like 200 pages or so. That's what I've been mainly reading. So all the books I read this month have been Honey Phillips. So I was trying to finish off that 7 Brides for 7 Alien Brothers series. So I ended up reading book number 5. This one's Endark. Now, Endark is what they call a Voltor, which is kind of like, I guess he has some kind of like beast inside of him. And the only way he can kind of control it is if he gets mated with, a female. So he said he goes with Benjar to obtain a wife in the town, and while there, Endark kidnaps Becky. Now, Becky is a seamstress who works for a harpy. So the woman was in a previous novel with her daughter. So Becky has a younger brother. She has been taken care of. He's 12 years old. One night, Becky is sewing and she sees a Voltor, which is the species that has done some harm to humans. So she's stunned and frozen, and in that time he manages to spray her in the face with this concoction that would put her to sleep. Now, one of his brothers had developed this concoction, and it essentially, puts you to sleep a little bit, kind of like probably sort of similar to chloroform, I assume. Her brother sees that Becky is missing. And so he follows their foot trail and he ends up getting lost. So Endark, with his keen sense of smell, finds Danny and brings him back to his cabin. So I said the book was okay, but I didn't enjoy it as much as the other books in the series. I felt that Danny was more of the third wheel in the book. It took away from the development of the romance between Endark and Becky. For her, she was okay, but I will say, like, like I said, I felt like Danny was kind of like the third wheel, even though, she can't help that that's her little brother. But that's kind of like how I felt, was that he was the third wheel. And so it kind of like just disrupted their whole like building up of something, especially for the fact that Honey Phillips, her books are all very short. So it's like you need to establish that relationship to develop the characters, and if you don't, I kind of like zone out. So, her brother, obviously wanted to protect his sister, so he ended up following them into the forest area. And he ended up getting to the point where he lost their trail. And so he was getting cold, so the only thing he could think of was kind of like digging himself into the snow and kind of creating like a little shelter for himself. So kind of like an igloo. And so Becky, wakes up and she's like, the first thing she kind of thinks of is like, well, my brother's going to worry about me, if he doesn't see me there, you need to go back for my brother and make sure he's okay. And so Endark is like, okay, fine, for you, I will, I'll go back. And so he starts to head back and he notices a smell, like a strange smell. He has a very keen sense of smell. So he ends up finding Danny like in this like snowdrift area, and he's, you know, a bit kind of like not really all there. And so he ends up bringing him back, and she nurses him back to health. And then, you know, their relationship kind of goes from there. Like I said, I didn't feel the connection. And I was like, it was okay, but maybe if like her brother wasn't around, no offense to the brother, maybe if her brother wasn't around, they would have formed a better connection than what I saw. So yeah, I gave that a 3. The next book I ended up reading was Frantor, which is book 6. So we have Frantor and Florrie. So Benjar, he had kidnapped, besides his own bride, Benjar also kidnapped like 2 other brides for his brothers. So Benjar had kidnapped a bride for Frantor and leaves her at Frantor's home. So Florrie is a divorced woman who owns her own diner. One night she's taken, and the next thing she knows, she's in a home that is very dark. The curtains are all drawn and everything. Frantor comes home and realizes that a human woman is in his home. So I thought this was cute, but also very heartbreaking, because Frantor is an amputee and a scarred alien. He took the brunt of an explosion during the war, so it has made him believe that he's a monster and no one would come to love him. So Florrie's previous marriage was a lonely one, and the husband also wasn't very good to her, so she didn't think she'd ever be with another man again. Florrie quickly warms up to Frantor and starts to cook him meals and cookies. Frantor took a while to warm up and trust Florrie because of him being disfigured and with prosthetics, but she wears him down and they, you know, fall for each other. I gave this a 4. I did enjoy this one. Especially because it's like, I don't know, I tend to like the type of characters where like they're damaged in some way, you know, damaged people. So with Frantor, he had a lot of stuff that was, you know, that had happened to him. So he had like a lot going on with like his upper part of his face right here, where a lot of it was like disfigured, and then he was missing like an arm, and he was like missing a leg. So he had like these cheap kind of prosthetics. And it reminded me a little bit of kind of like Phantom of the Opera, because there was a point where Frantor, she kept telling him, you know, why don't you put your cloak down? And he was like telling her like, no, I don't want you to see me. And so he decided to create like kind of like this plaster mask that could go over his face. So he has like, you know, kind of like half of his face that's covered, and then the bottom half is, you know, exposed. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Phantom of the Opera, or like maybe Batman. You know how Batman had his like half of his face was like covered. So but I liked the relationship because you saw this buildup of, you know, her taking her time with him, kind of treating him as, you know, like just very gently, you know, and like more of a slower pace, you know, kind of like easing him into like spending time with her. So he spent a lot of time like down in the basement, and so she would entice him with food, you know, because she owned her own diner, so she, you know, knows how to cook, and she'd bake him cookies, and he just like would devour like anything that she, you know, made for him. So I think she definitely like won him over by her food. So I thought it was cute. I thought it was really cute and sweet. And yeah, he very much was like, you know, wanted someone to love him, but felt like his disfigurement and his prosthetics would make it to where he couldn't, you know, have anybody love him for the way he was. And it just, it was a little sad. I felt bad for him. So I did like it. I thought it was really cute. So the last one in that series was my least favorite. I'll just say that. So this one here is Guillemot, or Guillemot. I gave this a 3-star, even though I did a 2.5 stars, but I rounded up to like a 3. So we got the characters of Guillemot and Julia. So Guillemot is a plant-like species, and of course he lives in a home with a greenhouse. One night he opens his door, and his younger brother Benjar hands him a wrapped bundle. When he opens it, he realizes that it's a small human woman with golden hair. He knew right away that he wants to keep her. So Julia Watson awakened to seeing Guillemot, and she is surprisingly calm. I said, almost like she knows him. Her mother's a nasty harpy who wants her married off to someone Julia doesn't like. She likes to spend her time in the conservatory of her home reading books. I said, this was my least favorite of the series. I don't know what it was, but I was not a fan of Julia. I felt like she was too sexually aggressive towards Guillemot, especially because she was supposed to be a virgin. So also Guillemot reminded me too much of Swamp Thing. If you've ever watched that movie back in the 80s, it had Heather Locklear in it, and it's called Swamp Thing, and that's what he reminded me of. So I said, also this book bored me. I said, another book with a ton of kids at the end. I said, too many characters added in that got me confused. So Guillemot was this character where his senses would work with the plants. So like whatever his subconscious was, like whatever he was subconsciously thinking of, the plants would react to it. And so it got to the point where when he's around her, the plants would kind of like really like bloom and things like that and do different stuff. And she very much, I don't know what it was. It just, she was too sexually aggressive for my taste. And it's not like, I don't want a heroine to be like very timid, but it's like when a heroine is a virgin, she's still learning things, she's still learning what she likes, what she dislikes, when it comes to pleasure. And she very much like, yeah, was very sexually aggressive, and it kind of like rubbed me the wrong way. And then, there was like other things going on to kind of like finish up the story. That's what I felt like, is that the author really wanted to wrap up the story. So she was kind of giving you like all the loose ends that were throughout the series, like wrapping up. And then at the end, there was like all of these kids. Like this couple had how many kids? This couple had kids. This couple had kids. And I'm just like, there's so many babies. I'm like, I just was like, give me the fucking family tree, because I'm just like, this kid and this kid. Whose kid is this? I'm just like, I hate when authors do that. It's like, just don't show me all these damn kids, So yeah, it was like my least favorite of the series was that one. It just, yeah, I don't know what it was. Just, I didn't dig it. So the last book I read this month was another Honey Phillips. This one is Trouble for My Troll, Fairhaven Falls. Now this is like a new series for her. I have another book of hers. That's like the second book, I think, in this series. So it's basically a small town that is all monsters, like what they call others, And so, what's her name? Allison, I gave this one 3 stars. Allison is essentially, she wants to start over in a new town. So she decides to go for a job interview in Fairhaven Falls. And so she gets there and she literally runs into, what's his name again? Will? Yeah, literally runs into Will. Now, Will is a troll, and he runs his father's auto mechanic shop right now because his father had a stroke. And I could not stand Will's mom. She was such a pain in the ass, constantly demanding, and like, do you want him to like have any free time for himself? You know, I understand your husband's in the hospital and he had a stroke, so it's like, that's very concerning, yes. But also, don't be leaving all these demands for your son. That's just not, it's not very nice. And it just makes her look like a bitch. So I really did not like her at all. And so Will is kind of like, as soon as he sees Allison, he's like automatically like very much attracted to her. And so they have like this really like instant connection with each other. And so he decides to fix up her car for free. And while she's there, she ends up getting hired to restore this house that's going to turn into like a bed and breakfast kind of thing. And so you have like these different cast of characters. So you have like trolls, you have orcs, you have this lady who is like the grandmother to like these boys who are orcs. Then you have like this sea monster, you have werewolves, so you have like a different array of characters. And I think one is like a dragon or something. I think he's like a dragon shifter, something like that. And so I thought it was okay, but honestly, it's like, if you would have cast regular people in this, I would have like saw no difference with the story. Because it was very much like, oh yeah, monsters exist and they live on Earth, you know? And I'm just like, oh yeah, they're just everyday people. I felt like this author watched the Disney movies Zombies one too many times, because that's pretty much how it felt to me. I don't know if anybody's watched the Zombies, but I have, because I have kids and they watch all kinds of shit and I have to watch it with them. So there's this movie called Zombies, and there's these zombie people who are basically they have their zombie town, and then there's the human town, and so the zombies start to like commingle with the humans, and the zombies wear like these wristbands to kind of help stop them from like turning into like and all zombies and stuff. So so that's what this book reminded me of. That it reminded me of the zombies. And like this cheerleader falls in love with the zombie dude, and I'm just like, and then they're singing and dancing, and I'm just like, kill me. So yeah, it reminds me of like, if anybody's seen Descendants, it's like that. Yeah. If you have to sit through and watch it, I suggest alcohol. So, anyways, it was okay. I thought the world building was like, but you know, it's kind of like how her other series, you know, with the 7 brides for 7 alien brothers and stuff like that. It's like very similar to like how you'd be on like Earth, you know? So there's really like no in-depth world building. It's very simple. So I would say like, if you are just kind of like delving into like paranormal, alien, monster types of romances, then you probably would maybe like check out Honey Phillips, because she definitely is more of the like beginners type of, you know, monster romance or alien romance, things like that. So the one thing I would say that really annoyed me was he kept calling her Sugar. So I had one highlight I did where he says, "Don't apologize, sugar. It will give Nicholas something to do in the morning." So I said, authors, please stop having the heroes give the heroines nicknames and then they repeatedly say said nickname in the book. It's annoying. So he said Sugar, her nickname, a lot. It was so annoying. So annoying to me. Especially because there was a couple of times he said her name Sugar twice on one page. Twice. So, I have a few nicknames people have called me over the years, you know, besides the Big B. If you know what that is. But, my blood uncles, blood relatives, they call me B for short. And I've had a teacher call me Bran, and I'm like, kind of like cereal. And I've had someone call me like another nickname. My husband will call me usually like Babe or Mama, you know, because I'm a mom. So I have a few nicknames, you know. But the one thing my husband doesn't do, he doesn't constantly call me Babe all the time because it's fucking annoying. Like, when we first started dating, he, I don't know, maybe was a little bothered with the fact that we're 8 years apart. And I was like, dude, it's 8 years. You know, it's like 8 years, dude. It's not that big of a deal. Like, it's not like I was 10 and he was like 18 or something, you know? Then it's a big deal. But, you know, I'm in my 30s. I was in my 30s when I got together with him. I already had babies. I already had my children. So, I mean, I'm a grown-ass woman, you know? So he used to call me kid. It got to the point where I was like, stop calling me that. I don't like when you call me kid. It makes me feel like, you know, I'm super young, and I'm not, you know? You know, so I'm like, I'm going to be 44 this year. My husband is 51. So, I mean, it's not a big deal. Once you get like past the age of like 25, 30, age don't matter anymore, you know? So for me, it's like, I told him, don't call me that. So he'll call me like Babe, or he calls me, you know, by my name, or he calls me Mama. So the Sugar nickname that Will gave Allison, I there was even parts I was forgetting her fucking name, because I'm like, she's Sugar now. She's Sugar. Because he keeps calling her that. So annoying. It was just so annoying to me. I really wish the author would have, like, you know, there's that thing where it's like, you could see, like, how many times you said the same word over and over again in, like, you know, your word, you know, your story. I really wish you would have did that, because it was annoying. It was so annoying to me. So that's pretty much all I've read so far. I'm currently reading another monster book. It's like a gargoyle book. But I'm not going to obviously get done with it in time. The day I'm filming this, it's getting close to like the end of the month. So I figured it's probably best to just wrap up now. I could probably talk about that other book in October. But right now, I'm just trying to get through books that I enjoy. So, this month is kind of like, you know, not really a great month for me. And so what I'm trying to do is, like, next month I'm trying to, read more like vampire books, monster books, whatever is like more paranormal or spooky type of stories for me. I'm trying to read more of those. I really would like to do a vlog for October. I'm hoping that I can be successful in that, because I really have not been feeling doing anything. Like I don't feel like filming. I don't feel like doing anything. I'm just like I'm in a certain mood where I just don't feel like doing anything. So, so yeah, I'm trying to do that for October and see how it goes. And hopefully I'm successful in that. So I have other videos that are coming in October that I have already pre-filmed. So I'd say I only really need to do like 2 videos in the month of October. Everything else is pretty much done. So yeah, I'm trying to do that. And I'm trying to, like, you know, get motivated, but I just don't really have motivation right now. I've just been really, I don't know, like, in a weird mood lately. And it makes me, like, really pissed off, you know? And, like, I don't want to be around people when I'm, you know, feeling like this. So, yeah. Not really impressed with, like, what I read this month. That one book I did enjoy, but the rest were kind of like, okay. So I'm hoping that the book I'm currently reading will be a little better. We shall see. And I'm hoping October will be better for me, because I love October. I hate when I get into, like, depressive moods or my depression when it hits around October. I hate that because I really love October. I love spooky month. I love all of the decorations. I love Halloween. So, I mean, all that stuff is, like, my favorite. So I really want to enjoy myself in October. So I'm just trying to, like, get out of this, you know, funk, whatever I'm feeling, you know. I'm really been trying to get out of it, but it's, sometimes I have this where it, like, lingers for, like, weeks, a month, 2 months, you know. It all depends on, you know, on it, you know. So, but yeah, that's it for this video here. I'm not gonna keep rambling. That's it for this one here. Have yourselves a good day. Take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and I will see you all on the next video. All right, bye.